Live.
Live.
Yo, mic check. 1, 2. Yeah. Man like Eli.
Bro, let's do humans, you know. Do you know what? Man's been nervous, bro. I was saying
Is
to
it?
you, bro, I watched that Ecuadorian drug trafficking one. I was like, bro, I'm
Peter
coming
Chitton.
in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Tough act to follow. Tough act to follow.
That's the thing. That was a crazy episode.
I loved it, man.
Yeah, it was such an incredible story. And
Yeah.
You know what's mad about it? Yeah, the whole time, yeah, everyone that knows me was like, "Wait, you were hella like stoic, hella calm during that whole process." I was like, "You know, I weren't calm, and I was going through PTSD live."
Yeah, you're blinking, but we can't see it.
Do you know what I mean?
mean?
I'm twitching, like to hear some of these stories, some of the things that he's gone through and overcome.
Sensation. It was honestly, the stories were
It was deep.
truly remarkable, man.
Yeah. See, that's the thing about having one of these Apple Watches, man.
Yeah,
See the
man.
things you're
Tech.
talking
This
to.
guy's teched out in
No,
this room,
I'm just
bro.
trying, man.
Out. I'm here and I'm just like, yo, where do I look? You know what I'm saying? I love it.
And also, you're the first to come onto the podcast when I got the new setup done, man. I got my new board there, my new LED lights and stuff. So that just shows that you're special, man.
Big things.
You're big time, man. You're big time.
Let's
big
do
time.
humans, man. Do you know what? Mum, I made it. Mum, I made it. I'm done. Done out here. You know what I'm saying? Because I watch it. I'm an avid fan.
I appreciate that.
Avid watcher of your channel.
Yeah.
I love it, man. Thank you for having me,
Nah,
honestly.
man. Always welcome,
Thank
man.
you
Always
for
welcome to have
having
you
me,
on.
man.
But you're doing big things now yourself, man. Tell us about This Food Bangz, man.
This Food Bangz.
This Food Bangz.
For those who don't know, This Food Bangz is we showcase banging food.
Yeah.
And the people behind the plate. So it's like food from different parts of the world.
Yeah.
You know, it could be Kenyan food, it could be Jamaican food, it could be southern states, food from the southern states. And we showcase the food, but I think what gives the show that sort of weight is the people behind the plate.
Yeah.
And there's always context behind the food. And that's what I love, you know? Yeah, I love food, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I love munching food, but it's like when the food has context behind it, something
Gives
about
it a bit
it.
more of a meaning, isn't it?
Yeah, and it tastes even better. You know, you enjoy it a little bit more.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You indulge in it a little bit more rather than just saying, oh yeah, it's food. And it's funny how we take little things like food for granted and how certain let's say dishes or cuisines have come about through religion, culture, society, evolution. You know, it's crazy. It's crazy, and that's why I love doing what I do. So for those who don't know, yes, it's This Food Bangz. It's showcasing banging food and the people behind the plate.
And it's all over YouTube as well. I mean, I'm going to put all the
YouTube.
details in below. I think there's one thing about food that people don't even realize how political food is, because it shows you the taste of a territorial boundary.
Oh my
You know what I
gosh.
mean? And people forget, like, it's political, it's religious, it's spiritual. It's like so many different elements, and obviously discussing like the origins of food as well and how it comes about. It brings
This
a
is
whole
it.
different kind of context to the
This
whole
is it.
narrative.
Absolutely, you're spot on. It's territorial, it's political. I mean, the episode that's coming out this Wednesday, it's the Nepalese one. And we normally tend to get Nepalese cuisine and Indian cuisine sort of, we tend to put them in the same category as they're both curries.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
But if they're both curries, why isn't the Nepalese cuisine as, you know, highly rated as, you know, the Indian cuisines? You know what I'm saying? And that's because they made a point, and it was you know, it's a point that I didn't even think about, and it was because the British, obviously, they ruled you know, India.
Yeah.
You know, they sort of took over India. They were ruling parts of India, and the Brits tried to rule the Nepalese.
Okay.
But you know, the Gurkhas,
They were on it.
they were on it, like,
On the smoke. Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? They were on the smoke.
Yeah.
So the Brits tried to take over the Nepal, I think it's the southern province. I could be wrong. And Nepal weren't having it to the point where they ended up signing a peace treaty. And what happened after that was, you know, they were saying that it's because the Brits kind of went to India. They stayed in India, so they were able to bring food back.
Oh, okay, back, yeah. So it becomes like a staple part
It
of our
becomes
culture here.
yeah, exactly. That's why it became a staple part of the British culture. So it's territorial, it's political, it's so much history when you look at it. And I was just thinking about it, and that didn't dawn on me. And I was just
blows your
thinking,
mind, innit? Yeah.
had the Brits took over Nepal,
It would have been a different story.
different story.
Yeah, most definitely.
But the Gorkans, they weren't having it. Man. They're on a mad thing. I mean, the episode's gonna be really interesting.
I look forward to that. Yeah, I look forward to that. Because the funny thing is, like, whenever like you have meals or you look around you and see like the food that's kind of popular within your local vicinity, you don't actually realize the historics behind it. Why there's so many Indian shops? Because of the history between India and the British colony.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's interesting how that kind of like changes your idea and your scope. What's some of the most interesting things you've learned about like various cultures since you started running the show?
Ooh, it's
Like
difficult.
something that you definitely weren't aware of that hit you. You're like, rah, okay.
I think the Kenyan episode. The Kenyan episode for me was very interesting because
I think I watched that one. Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. I didn't know about because I kept asking. I was like, "Why is chapati in Kenya?"
Yeah.
You know them ones. You're like, why is it there?
Yeah.
Isn't it an Indian thing? And obviously, the more research I did, you dig like a sort of a hole and you get sort of engrossed with the story, and that was that was, for me, it was a big surprise because it was about how the Indians were sort of transported or moved to the African part, the eastern part of Africa. So they were building railways. And a lot of them died. About 2,500 Indians, indentured laborers, died from that process of building the railroads, and they died because man-eaten
Tigers, isn't it? Yeah, that was crazy. When I saw that in episode, that hit me because I was like, what? I thought they would die from like, I don't know, malaria, exhaustion, accidents, whatever. But tigers, that means that they're working in completely uncontrolled like areas.
Environments that were not fit for a human being.
But the moment I see one person getting eaten by a tiger, I'm like,
safe. When's the next ship going back to India? You know what I'm saying?
For that many people to be eaten by tigers,
Yeah. That was an interesting one. That's one I found. And then my boy, when I interviewed him, where I asked him why he's sort of made that change in terms of his dietary changes to his meals that he cooks for himself, and we learned so much about sepsis, septicemia, and I had no idea what it was. And you hear it all the time, but I didn't know the severity of that life-threatening condition. You know what I'm saying? And you could get that from anywhere, and it made me realize that if there's anything wrong with me, I've got to go to the doctor.
Yeah, most definitely.
You know what I mean? And fair play to him, because he coughed, he saw blood, he rang.
And that was it. He got himself checked up. Yeah.
And that was like, that story, it really hit home. I got a lot of messages from friends, from family saying, yo, the sepsis, poignant, very sobering story. And I was like, yeah.
I need to check that one out, because I think one of the things that I know in particular about the human body is that everything starts from the gut. Like everything starts from the gut. Whatever you put into the gut has a major effect on the majority of the part of your body. So you have to be aware of what you're putting into your system.
That's it.
Because sometimes I realize, like for us, for instance, growing up in an African home, when you eat certain foods, you fall asleep.
Yeah.
And you assume that that's because you're full up and you had a solid meal. No, it's because your body's full of starches.
That's what I'm saying.
And now it's trying to process it on such a mad basis that your internals are running mad, and it knocks you out in the process. You're burnt out. It's not because you had a banging like fufu or cake.
Nah, bro.
It's because you starch yourself out.
You starch yourself out. So that story was very a sobering story. So that was another episode. One of the episodes where I learned a lot about sepsis, septicemia, the importance of looking after yourself, and just being careful with what you put into your body. I think that's important. I think that's very important. We take it for granted. even me sometimes, you know, you have a bad day, you're like, bro, KFC, man, KFC, yeah?
Especially when you're driving and you're hungry, man. I always find myself like pulling out through the drive-thru and then I regret it straight after because it doesn't fill you up or anything.
Bro,
You know
so
what I
many
mean?
times it's happened. It's happened so many times. But no, yeah, that's what I've learned still.
But you're getting some good food for free at the moment as well. So this is like a great avenue right now. Am I baiting you up right now?
You know what? This guy's baiting me up, you know. I was like, I'm trying to hold it down.
I was thinking, you know what? This is actually a sick concept. If I'm ever starving, yeah, or I'm struggling out here for food, yeah, this would be the ideal thing. But you're getting to taste some great food.
Call me. I'm surprised Marcus Rashford hasn't called me. He said, yo, all that food you're eating, you know what I'm saying? You know, think
them up to the yeets and that.
Nah, yeah, do you know what? I feel very lucky. Like, it all started from an idea. Like, literally laying in bed, watching Anthony Bourdain. And I think he's a legend. The guy is he's an icon. He's just a pioneer in that sort of field of going to different countries, experiencing cultures, and using food as access to many topics. It's a gateway through many topics. So I was watching him and I was like, I could do this. I could do this, you know, but then you doubt yourself and I'm like, I'm not a food connoisseur. I'm not going to lie to you and say, yeah, I know about this food and that food. And I think the beauty about this is that I'm just like you. Because you're looking at food and you're like, what's that?
Yeah.
Talk us through that. Why are we making that? You know, how is it made? And yeah, I'm in a fortunate position where I get to taste the food, I get to eat, and people want to cook and tell their story. You know, I've been to wonderful restaurants, met some wonderful people. I love that. I love culture. I love that.
But on the creative side as well, anyway. Like I mean, like yourself, I'm a creative. So and as we were discussing prior to the podcast about like what it takes to. Like what the production behind like being a creative and making something happen. You know what I mean? Like we have a passion for something, and at the end of the day, like it's not easy. Do you know what I mean? Hard, first of all, like coming up with the concepts is not easy, and then the process of like producing that concept and publishing it, it's not easy at all. Like how you been finding the process for this in particular?
Do you know what? It's a love-hate relationship. You know, I read somewhere like Albert Einstein said, creativity is intelligence having fun. And yeah, some moments you have fun, you're enjoying it, and there's some moments where you hate it. And creativity almost becomes a burden to the point where you don't sleep. And I'm sure you've had that, where you're trying to sleep, but your brain is still ticking over about an episode before, what you could have changed, and it's suffering, you know? But that's the name of the game. If you want your content to go out there, if you want to be the best at what you do, you kind of have to suffer.
Definitely.
You have to suffer, you know? It's like when I edit these videos, obviously I still got my my job, you know, my main job, which is I'm a secondary school teacher. So most of the time I'm editing up until 3 a.m.
Wow. Yeah, because you're going to have to finish your day job first.
I have to finish my day job, have to go home, watch the videos again, watch it again, keep watching it. And even then, once I finish it, I'm still not satisfied.
Yeah. You never be though as a creative. You never be.
It's torture.
Yeah.
But I love it. You know, it's that constant search for, I know what I did wrong last time.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and do this time. You know, and it's a learning process. And yeah, it's a burden, man. Being creative is a burden. It's torture. But like I said, you have this idea and it's a grand idea. And then it's like bringing it to fruition. And then it's that constant thing where it's, again, like you always say, I learned this from you actually. You're like, it's all about consistency.
100%. Yeah.
It's all about consistency.
Yeah, definitely.
Because the minute you stop,
that's it.
You can't. It's like when you stop going to the gym. It's hard to get back into it.
You go back into square one. You kind of lose all the muscle that you put on initially.
This is it.
You're on a trajectory, even though you might not necessarily have noticed
absolutely,
it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And there's a bit of pressure that comes with it as well, because I remember that Kenyan episode. I was nervous.
Yeah.
Because one, it's like you're trying to showcase Kenyan food. That's a nation.
You don't want to be insulting anyone.
I don't want to be insulting anyone.
Yeah.
You know, and that it's not just about the restaurant, because now it's about a country. And then you feel the pressure of like, I've got to do this justice.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Yeah, there were a few mistakes in that video. Yeah, did I beat myself up about it? Yes, of course. But then it's like, leave it. Let's move on. Let's try and rectify it, in the next one.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's the burden we have to carry.
I think that one of the biggest things, one of the biggest issues that I had initially was when I finished an episode, I used to watch it way too much. You know how you say you watch over your episodes?
Yeah.
I used to watch it way too much, and then I'll have the regret of like forgetting to pick at certain things or forgetting to ask certain questions, or like an idea that will hit me afterwards. I'm thinking, oh damn, like this is how I really think about this, but in the moment I wasn't able to express it properly.
Hard.
And that's an issue, especially with a podcast as well. Like I'm having conversations with people covering all sorts of topics. There's a lot that I need to take in, and then there's a lot that I need to process during the conversation.
Right.
But what I done to stop beating myself up about it is that I genuinely stopped watching my episodes until after I posted it.
Right.
So the editing process for me isn't as strenuous because there's only 2 layers.
Yeah.
I've got the video and then I've got the audio.
Yes.
So all I need to do is watch the first couple of seconds, match it up, put the intro, outro,
Zoom.
boom.
Oh, I would love that.
And then it's out there. Because I'm doing long haul conversations, so you can be anything from 45 minutes to 3 hours.
That's it.
So I stopped watching the whole thing because then I become too critical, and then I'm not sleeping. Like the early days, so I'm thinking about, this thing sounds dumb, and maybe I should have said this, or I should have said it this way. But when it's already out, and I wait for 1 or 2 of my boys who I know regularly always call me because they watch things very in depth. And then once I get their feedback, then I'm like, okay, cool. Now maybe I can watch it because I might need to cut a few clips for Instagram or whatever. But by that time, it's already out, so the anxiety is gone. It's already out. People have watched it. They've made up their mind about it.
It's gone.
But it's difficult, man. And I think one of the issues that I struggle with outside of that, because I was kind of getting rid of it now, is the whole production side of it. Because it's a one-man army. Do you know what I mean? I'm doing the research. I'm sourcing the guests. I'm preparing the setup as I was doing when you came in here. I'm recording, editing, putting it out there, and it's not easy, but. And it's trying to find the joy and the love in that. And me, the only part that I thoroughly really enjoy is this part.
This is the part. I swear.
This is it. Like,
this is the part.
Do you know what I mean?
When I get home, I'm like, shit, I'm going to have to edit this.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to make this look so good, because I really enjoyed it. And, just to add on to what you said, I was going to scrap the Guyanese episode. I covered Guyanese food with Faye in a food truck in Elephant and Castle. And I was going to scrap it. I thought it was a load of rubbish.
I think I saw that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's sick.
Everyone see? This
I thought that was sick.
I was going to scrap it.
Yeah.
Called everyone. I'm like, bro, I'm not feeling this, man. I think I'm just going to scrap it and just tell it I'm sorry. And something inside me just said, you know what? Eli, you're still learning. Yeah. Put it out there. Because you know what? You will get to understand your audience better because they will be able to identify any mistakes or things that you could do better. And you need the feedback. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's not every day you need that validation of, you're great, you're amazing. Sometimes you need the constructive.
That's what's going to help you definitely grow and develop.
Exactly. So, anyways, I threw it out there. Didn't watch it, and I came here and we did This Food Bangz. Watch out for Francis.
I'm on there as well, man. Chefing it up
and I came here. At that time, it got I think it was 28 something views. I was like, I told you it was dead. I knew it was dead, and then something happened. Within the space of 5 hours, the minute I got home, 1,000 views.
Yeah. Man.
Next day, 2,000. I'm like, what the hell's going on? You know what I mean? And everyone's like, this is amazing. This is sick. I was going to chuck that away.
Yeah, see?
This is how, sometimes creativity, it can hinder you. It can hinder your progress because you're constantly in search for almost perfection almost. Yeah. And that doesn't exist.
It doesn't. Perfectionism is something that I had to really work with. So now I focus on specific elements because when you try to perfect everything, it gets you into trouble. And one thing that I realized as well is that someone said something to me which really hit home. They were like, look, this is the best time for you to make mistakes because I'm learning in front of a smaller audience.
Exactly.
Like I've got 2,000 something subscribers, and at the moment it's not all of them that are watching my video clips anyway because some of them are subscribed because they because I do varied subjects. Some of them came for specifics. So I'm gathering people along as I'm building the platform. So at the moment this is like the best time for me to learn and make mistakes because I'm not being judged by hundreds of thousands or millions of people.
This is it.
And I might not be built for that pressure just yet.
Yes, yeah.
But at this moment, I'm able to learn how to conversate. Like I've developed over my podcast. I've developed my level of confidence, my level of understanding my own method of communication.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? And being comfortable with that method.
Absolutely.
So now I know I can step into a conversation with anyone.
Absolutely.
And as long as I know what that person is about, I can turn on a switch that enables me to conversate with that person. Do you see what I mean? And that's
totally
really helped me.
I think I've watched you as well. I've watched you grow, and I always study you. I always tell my friends, I'm like, yo, the way Francis asks questions has really changed. It's like, you know what I mean? It's it's in depth. It's like you never settle on the answer.
No.
You keep digging because you want to understand it. And when I watch it, I'm like, yeah, I get it now. You know, because you could easily end at the first answer that person gives you.
No,
you know what I mean?
Because the things I see the way I see myself is it's like this is my school. I'm the student here. Do you know what I mean? I'm not here as like whenever I have a guest there, I would never assume like that I know more than them in anything because I'm talking to them about their stuff. You know what I mean? Their product, their idea, their book, their story. So at the end of the day, I'm the student and I'm intrigued by it. Like I'm intrigued by anyone and everyone. Like you can put a 5-year-old kid right here and I'll be so excited. Oh my gosh, like tell me about this little toy you play. I ain't seen this. I didn't have this back in my day.
For real.
You see what I mean?
Real,
so whenever I put myself into that mind state where I'm a student of anyone who's in front of me, regardless of who they are, it makes it better for me because it enables for me to dig more because I'm actually intrigued. I want to know about yourself. I want to know what you're learning, and then I'm thinking, next time when I'm eating food, I'm thinking, okay, what's the story behind this I don't know, Pakistani meal dish I'm having? Do you know what I mean? When was it discovered? Was it during the war with the Sikhs and Muslims? Like when was it done and how did it come about? It actually allows me, but being a creative is not easy, man, and being in this space where like, because we're independent creatives, so we're not in a space whereby we have a production team or we just turn up into the office and switch on the mic, boom, and then you know what I mean, lights, camera, action. This is my electricity. Like,
bro, it's tough.
It's different. It's a different ballgame.
It's tough. You know, I love this setup. If I had this setup, I'll be smiling the whole way through.
No, I appreciate it, man. This is brand new, man. I'm gonna put it on Instagram afterwards. I'm gonna snap and put up. This is my first time testing it out.
I love it because what I find difficult with the whole This Food Bangz is that obviously you're going to different sort of locations. So with different locations, different setup, and then it's like you have to think of what looks good in the backdrop and everything else, and it's like you're thinking on the spot constantly. But yeah, man, like you said, it's tough, it's challenging, but I love it.
That's the thing. I love it as well.
Absolutely love it. I could see myself. Someone asked me, he said, "Oh, how long can you see yourself doing this for?" I said, "Forever." Forever, because I love culture. I love, like you, I love speaking to people, and food just makes it less formal. Yeah. Because you're eating, you're talking, and it's like we sat in a room and we're having dinner together. That's a rare thing.
Yeah, for real.
Rare thing.
For real.
You know, sometimes we rarely sit down and eat together. When was the last time
Christmas? I mean, there was a times where families used to sit down, but now it's just like rare occasions, like Christmas. You know? Do you know what I mean? And I think it's an essential part of like human beings. Communication, in essence, is essential. Like if you look at like how podcasts have exploded now, it's like because humans we're reverting back to what we know, which is verbal communication. And obviously the sound and the listening and the storytelling. Because humans, we're storytelling creatures.
That's it.
We're here, and sometimes we talk about stories of the past. We read history. We read psychology. These are all like things from the past, things that we've been told through word of mouth. So we kind of resonate with that. Like it hits us differently. So definitely, like to communicate like that via food is it's an incredible tool, man.
I mean, in episode 2, where I interviewed Olivia when she was doing Southern Meal, she spoke about, you know, the importance of sitting together as a family. Because in America, they do it.
They do it, yeah.
They do it a lot in America.
I think they do it way more than we do.
To the point where she was surprised when she was like, when was the last time you sat down with your family and had a meal? I said, maybe Christmas. Christmas is the only time. Yeah. And for me, that was crazy, because then you're thinking about, imagine what you're learning and all those values you're picking up by just sitting down at the table as a family. Yeah, you might be chatting shit and you know, farting around the table or something like that, but
it's that connection is still being made.
That connection is made because you've created some lifelong memories just at that table.
Yeah.
Which is powerful. Which is for me is powerful. So yeah, nice. I love what I do, man.
That's definitely something that I'll implement like when I have kids and family and stuff, and that whole like, okay, at least once or twice a week we're all sitting together. Everyone has to be here. Phones away. We're communicating. We're eating. We're catching up. Because when I used to watch like American movies, like and you see the family sitting on Thanksgiving, and you got all the mad uncles here and there and stuff like that, and then you got that one person that no one wants at the table. It's a learning process, and it's a connective process where you gain values and understanding of your, not just your own family, but who you are as a person as well, and how to communicate with people. I think it develops confidence as well in children. 100%, so it's essential, man. That's really good.
100%. Nah, but I love it. I love doing what I'm doing at the moment, man. Yeah, hopefully, I mean, I can go. Obviously, COVID has sort of put a stop to things. My main idea was to just go to other countries and sit down with families and just chat to them. And just chat to them about food and life. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, man, I'll definitely be keeping tabs of the progress. But has teaching been like though during COVID? Because obviously
teaching's been tough, man. Teaching's been tough. Yeah. It's a new normal that we've kind of had to adapt to, and it's challenging and it's very tiring. It's draining, you know, because of these new health and safety regulations that they've put in place at schools. And what I'm finding out now is the students. The students have become a little bit less motivated.
For real.
And I can sense it. You know,
probably it's the uncertainty around everything that's going on.
It's the uncertainty, and it has led them to become a lot more inquisitive.
For real.
They're asking questions like, you know, I mean, when you're a teacher, it's very disheartening, and it's very hard to know the answers to some questions. But some student just came up to me and said, because I'm a PE teacher, said, "What's GCSE PE gonna do for me in this life?
Real. Yeah.
Where's it gonna take me?"
Yeah.
You know, because the Arsenal scout, he was let go.
Yeah. Yeah. So now
and
there's not going to be those scouts coming into school. Yeah.
With Carl, you know, where he's talking about AI.
Yeah.
Now they've got algorithms that works out what player they want, the stats. Yeah. It's all database stuff now. So it's like, right now it's that uncertainty of, because like you and Carl were saying, because we're moving into the digital age, what jobs are out there?
Yeah.
So they're asking questions, constantly asking, and I'm very, very honest with them. I say, look, guys, I can't lie to you. The world right now is full of uncertainty and it's very unpredictable. But what I will say is, you need to develop some form of resilience, for one, and be creative.
Most definitely.
Be creative.
Yeah. It is the generation of the creatives, and
this is it.
That's where a lot of opportunity is going to drive from.
Absolutely. Be creative. Do something that stimulates your brain. You know what I'm saying? Because what it is that, imagine, let's say 5 years time, you finish work, you come home, you're bored, you know, and then all of a sudden, zoom, you've been made redundant. Yeah. What have you got?
Yeah.
What have you got?
Yeah.
You know, there's an interesting podcast that actually Carl sent me, and it was, I think, on the podcast, I think it's called 7 Billionaire Ideas or something. On the podcast, it had the head of ITV, Alistair Stewart, I think.
Okay.
I don't know what his position is. It had the CEO of LinkedIn, and he had someone from IBM, don't know the names. And they said that right now, 90% of the jobs that are available right now are not going to exist in 5 years' time.
Oh yeah, for real. Yeah. That's been a trajectory that we've been kind of going on anyway.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the jobs that required like manpower, a lot of the factory-based jobs, a lot of the stuff that required a human being to like identify and point things out are like unrequired, man.
Unrequired. So they were just talking about how these students need to develop some form of resilience, and we need to start merging with, like you and Carl were saying, with AI technology, rather than seeing the future as a form of like just turn the blind eye to the future. It's
happening now. Because the issue is the future is happening now.
Let's start embracing it. Rather than being scared of it and, you know, fighting against it. embrace it. Just embrace it. And the students, yeah, I feel for them. Imagine being their age right now, in the times that they're in.
I mean, I've got siblings who are like they just graduated, and they're struggling to find work because it's not like you can just go on Indeed or whatever and just post as many CVs as you want. No one's really gonna contact you because everyone's staff is hit capacity. People are getting redundant. They're getting rid of people, so there's no capacity to hire anyone else. And I mean, you mentioned early on about like some of your students having to develop resilience. I think that's a major factor. They really need to develop resilience, strength, and understanding of how to deal with their own mental issues, and not dealing with it themselves, but dealing with like mental issues during these harsh times. Because there was a story, I don't know if you heard about it yesterday. His name is Jeremy Whiston, I think his name is. He's a young Manchester City academy player who just got released at the age of 17, and he ended up taking his own life. And these are some of the things it's happening to the older people, because many people are, I mean, have been taking their lives recently due to COVID, loss of work, families being stuck in homes together with abusive partners and so forth. There's a lot going on. Now, you can imagine being a young person in this generation who's never had a job before, and your job prospect, it seemed non-existent. Do you see what I mean? How you gonna view the world? And now I don't know, this kid was in this academy where he was most likely praised amongst his peers. It's like, yo, you're training in Man City, you're this guy,
you're gonna be the next this and that,
you're gonna be the next this and that, like soon you're gonna be 100 bags, like you're gonna be the guy. Do you know what I mean? You're gonna be playing professional football, like you've been uplifted by the club, they've probably been selling you the biggest of dreams, and then all of a sudden they're like, yo, surplus the requirements at the age of 17. You see what I mean? How do you deal with that mental crash? Like from being on top of the world to now coming down to absolutely. And I mean, a lot of people are talking about how I don't know how the academies work personally, so I can't speak on their behalf. I can't necessarily condemn them either, because I don't know what level of support they give to people that get dropped. But growing up, I know a lot of man that got dropped. Everyone knows like that kid that used to play for Arsenal, play for this team and that team, and they all got dropped, and then we all play Sunday League football together. Do you see what I mean? And a lot of them at that time, I can only speak about.
It's a devastating blow.
It's devastating, and at the time for a lot of them, there was no aftercare. Do you know what I mean? They just had to deal with it. They just had to firm it themselves, and that was difficult. I wonder how we feel like for a kid now in this social media age where they're posting themselves wearing the jersey of the team that they played for, and everyone's looking up to you as that guy. Now all of a sudden you're no longer that guy, and we're in the middle of a pandemic as well, so your family's under stress, you're under stress. It's dark, man. It's dark.
This is it. These are dark times. So I'm very honest with the kids. And, you know, they always ask me questions because you have to be honest with these kids. Because we're living it too. As a teacher, we're living it.
And they know when you're BSing now. It's very hard to BS the kids now.
You know, they always ask me, they're like, sir, is there any point of going to uni? I say, right now, I wouldn't even go near uni. My cousin's at uni. She's doing her first year in University of Bristol. And the whole dorm is on lockdown. The whole dorm. So the whole dorm has to self-isolate because one of them caught COVID. And she came back. She's like, Eli, I can't handle it. Can't handle it. Like, I barely get to see anyone. I can't go out. I'm stuck in this tiny room. You know, the food ain't great. You know what I'm saying? It's a different time.
And uni's meant to be like the best time.
The best time of your life, where you're exploring things, you're seeing things. It's challenging time. So I told them, listen, look, I'll really think long and hard about going to uni at this moment in time. Unless you want to become a doctor, unless you want to become a lawyer. But even that, I just prepped them. I said, look, right now, the way he's looking, we'll see in 3 years. But the way he's looking right now.
How do you think COVID is going to play out? Like, how do you really think the world is going to play out? What would be your prediction? Like, if you was to watch this back in...
My prediction will be the world or this country.
Like, I think the way the world is going to get affected is pretty much going to trickle through the whole... Like, it's going to be pretty similar across the board, don't you think?
I think so. I think so. I'm scared for this country.
For real.
Brexit ain't even happened yet.
Yeah, that's true. And we stopped talking about it because of COVID.
Yeah, we stopped talking about it because of COVID. And one thing I do fear is that the service industry is going to be hit like the hardest. You know, the people like that are working their socks off behind the tills.
Yeah, hospitality as well.
Hospitality's taking a big hit. You know, so I think it's gonna be it's gonna be a dark time
Yeah.
for UK and the world. You know, it's having to adapt. You know, not having that physical sort of
Yeah.
communication. You know, that even that term social distancing. Social distancing.
That's gonna be such a traumatic word. That's gonna be stuck in our minds for a while now.
For a while.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just everything is through that laptop, that screen. That's how you're gonna communicate. That's how you're gonna have to communicate. But listen, as human beings, I think one thing we're good at is we adapt. You know, we adapt, and like I said, I think these are the times for us to all sort of develop that resilience and be honest. Just be honest. You know, I'm an honest guy. If I'm having a shit day, I'm having a shit day.
Yeah.
You know, if, like I said, if the students come up to me and they're like, "Oh, sir, what do you think about this?" I break it down to them. I break it down.
Yeah.
Because they're going into the big bad world. You know, when you're in school, you're so sheltered. You're so sheltered from everything, life, money. Now, when we're telling them to, all right, see you later, fly.
Yeah.
They'll be like, whoa, let me come back in. No, fly. Just fly. No, let me come back in because they're scared. In schools, we're telling them, don't make a mistake. I always say to my students, I say, this is the place where you make mistakes.
Trust me.
This
and
is
you're
where
the perfect age as well to be making all the
Make your
mistakes in the world.
mistakes.
Yeah.
Whether it's why even the football team that I run at school, make your mistakes here. It's cool. It's okay. You know, I think we constantly are drilling into them that they have to be compliant. You have to write like this. You have to underline like this. So that creativity, that creative thinking, that critical thinking is non-existent.
It's non-existent. Yeah.
Non-existent.
Kanye, I don't know if you watched the Kanye and Joe Rogan episode.
I didn't. I need to catch up.
You haven't? So I watched the whole thing. It was difficult to listen to. It was very difficult 3 hours because of the way that Kanye's mind works. It's all over the place. But at the same time, if you follow deeply, you kind of understand where he's trying to piece together puzzles. Like you can feel him thinking. And I think that sometimes I'm in that same mode, but maybe I'm able to.
But
just
you know what?
drop
It's because
it.
he's creative.
He's on the next level.
He's
creative.
on the next level.
He's
This
very,
is what I say. We get stimulated, especially as like creative content creators. We're constantly thinking.
Yeah.
So when we're talking, it's like you're thinking about different things.
Something else has popped up in your mind
before you even land.
And he talked about this whole issue about like compliance and like the way that things are so structured. It messes things up. He's like sometimes he wants to. Like, okay, he's typing, for instance, and you know how we use like short things to describe stuff. So instead of writing FOUR, you put four.
Yeah.
He's like, why is communication so rigid? Do you know what I mean? And it's like, why are structures in society so rigid? Because it is there to put you into a particular box. Like, you have to do it this way. If not, it's either you're illiterate, you're this, you're that. Yes, there's basic structure for language, which everyone should understand and everyone should know for us to be able to communicate. But then when we break it down into different forms, it should be allowed because I'm not sending a letter to a professor right now. I'm just talking to my boys. Why should I be, you know what I mean, all super grammatical, sounding like David Attenborough on a mad one? You know what I mean?
This is it. And we live in the real world is us being ourselves, not having to conform or do this imposter syndrome rubbish.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I remember when I went on Twitter and I was thinking, oh, should I talk a certain way so that...
Yeah, you're questioning yourself.
So I said, nah, man, just be yourself because it's going to mess up. It's going to mess with your mind.
It's going to catch up to you.
It's going to catch up to you. And these kids, what we need to tell them is, look, just be yourself. Be authentic. Be you. You know what I mean? But the school system, what we're doing is like, I'll give you an example. I mean, I marked these books the other day and, my head of department giving me all this like, oh, you need to write this, you need to tell them to do that. I told him, I said, listen, Chris, do you really think when they leave school, they're going to be talking about the PE lesson, the PE, GCSE, PE, or algebra?
Yeah.
They don't talk about that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm going to write it like this. Make sure you do this. Make sure you do that. Make sure you do that. You know what I mean? Because we're so structured.
Yeah.
We're so structured. And we don't give kids... there's too many boundaries. It's tight. And let the kids be free, And I let them express themselves the way they want to express themselves. And then obviously I'll correct them if they make a mistake and give them the proper wording. But education. It's a tough thing, man.
Yeah.
Like when you're in it, that's when you begin to realize
It's a tough space,
the flaws
Yeah,
within education and what needs to change.
It's
What
definitely a
needs to
tough
change?
space. I mean, to talk about Twitter, like I don't know. I'm not really good on Twitter.
Yeah.
Like, I don't do much tweeting. All I do is I just post my next episodes and then I'm out
Yeah.
because I struggle with that form of communication where it's like so many, it's limited. Do
Yeah.
you know what I mean? The amount of letters you can put out there,
Yeah,
and then also I just find it that like there's if everyone on Twitter is just waiting to jump on something.
Yeah.
Especially if you enter certain realms of Twitter, it's like
Yeah.
everyone's just waiting for someone to pounce on. They're waiting.
Yeah,
Oh, this person said this. Everyone, let's roll.
Yeah,
Boom, 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 boom. Attack. And sometimes I don't know if a lot of people are being genuine on there. I don't know what's going on, and it's hard to explain yourself. And me, I'm a rambler when I'm talking. I like to delve into
true.
things. So
It's true.
I'm personally, Twitter for me is not built for me because I just don't get it.
You don't get it.
Do you
Yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah,
I struggle
yeah,
with it,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
and I struggle with the idea of thinking of something cool unnecessarily.
Yeah.
If it comes to my head and it's cool, then it's cool. But if I have to force it, if I have to, like, I'm gonna think of this maddest tweet here that's gonna make everyone want to retweet for a mad hashtag. I struggle with things like that in general. Yeah. So I think that's why I probably stay off Twitter.
Stay off
that
Twitter.
much.
Yeah. I don't blame you, man.
Yeah, the only reason I go on Twitter is when I want to when I go on Twitter for research purposes. When I want to know what's happening in culture.
Yeah.
When I want to know what's happening in society.
Same.
Because it offers great information for that. And obviously Twitter sometimes has
There's some dark alleyways on Twitter, though.
some dark alleyways. You know what I
telling
mean?
you.
Like I found out about like the End SARS movement on Twitter.
Yeah.
And then I contacted a friend of mine,
Yeah.
and then I went into a
saw
rabbit
that,
hole
yeah.
about it. Because prior to that, I was like, raw, like, do you know what I mean? What's all this? What's everyone on about? And then you start seeing all the videos
Yeah.
and all the lives and so forth.
Yeah.
So social media is a great medium for now getting like honest, not 100% honest, but it's getting alternative news out there.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Without the
yeah.
blockade of like mainstream
Yeah,
media
yeah.
who always playing a game. Do you know what I mean? Because they're in the business of gameplay.
Yeah.
So that's how Twitter works for me. But apart from that,
It's quick as well, isn't it? The content just keeps coming.
it's just there. Twitter's live
You know what I
action.
mean? It's live action.
Twitter's live action, man. Like
It's crazy.
Live action.
It is
man.
crazy. It is crazy. But nah, man. I'm just like I said. You know, I think the world will adapt. I think we'll adapt to. You know, it will take us a while.
Yeah.
To get there, but surely we'll adapt. I'm just scared for the the work industry. Like, what's gonna happen? Like, what jobs are gonna be out there? Because is it safe to be a doctor now? Would you want to be a doctor in these times?
Yeah, well, and you know, as a student doctor as well, you're not getting paid.
You're not
They're
getting-
they're gonna put you in the front line,
Front line.
where it's happening.
Yeah.
And it's a tricky space to be in.
Tricky
I mean,
space.
I think it can go two ways. Like my thought process is that one, there's a vaccine that works, is safe, and everyone takes it, and then. Do you know what I mean? Then they kind of. I think if they do find a vaccine that's safe, or that they assume to be safe, because obviously it's the process and the timescale in which it's being tested at the moment isn't what it takes for a vaccine to be approved. It's usually 5 to 7 years. Now we're trying to rush it in like a year and a half. So we wonder what the side effects are possibly going to be from that. But if they do find one, then it's probably going to be imposed to say, okay, if you want to travel, if you want to maneuver, if you want to go to that bar or that club,
This is the thing.
you need a certificate
It's
of
by
injection.
force.
It's by
that
force.
subtlety.
Do you know what I mean?
Subtle.
You're not going to have much of a say in it. That's one route, and then obviously the second route is that we just adapt and find a new way of living, which is mad because
What is it?
what is it?
What is the new
Are we
way
going to
of
be
living?
walking around in spacesuits? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Hopping along.
we're going to be walking around in spacesuits, and I was watching the history of the Spanish flu and how that kind of just came and went in the space of like 2 to 3 years. But then it was different times, and obviously the medication, their understanding of the virus was completely different, and they kind of just let it run its course. It killed everyone. It was supposed to kill, and then those who survived survived it. So it was a survival of the fittest game. That's why they predicted. That's why they estimated about 100 million people died across Europe. Do you know what I mean? And we've only lost like nearly just under 2 mil, and the whole world is at a standstill. So it was a different way of thinking, and our population is bigger now. So if it was to let the virus run rampant, we don't know the figures of how many people it can potentially take.
Yeah, for real.
So I feel sorry for politicians at times because they're between the rock and a hard place. It's like obviously naturally as human beings we want to feel free. We want to do what we want to do. So we're gonna find all the conspiracy theories. We're gonna find all the ideas that will push towards the idea of them holding us back from being free.
Humans don't like being restricted.
We don't. We're not built for it.
Long.
Do you know what I mean?
At first it was cool, but now you gave them a taste of help out to eat out. You know what I mean? They're thinking, I don't want to go back to that lockdown life again.
Nah.
You know what I'm saying?
No one's on it, man.
No one's on it. We don't like to be told what to do, man. Simple.
Yeah, but I mean, hopefully we'll come out of it, man. We'll come out of it unscathed on the other end. But it's a long ass road, and I hope they're able to like save some of the industries because I got friends who own like hospitality businesses and stuff like that, and they've been hit super hard. And I don't think like the support has been adequate. But then it's like you also have to think how much money does the government have, and how long can they keep pushing and supporting people without like the whole economy crashing.
This is what I'm saying.
You know what I mean? So it's interesting times, man.
It is interesting times, and that's why I always say like we've got to. I mean, I always bring my students into it because if we're getting our students ready for the big bad world and they've been made redundant, what do they do? Because we're not teaching them how to save money. We're not teaching them about contingencies. You know, what do they do? And this is where we really need to. The education needs to go through like a complete reformation. Simple as that, and just start bringing in experts that know. Like I was saying this on Carl's Twitter, bringing experts every month, twice in the school term. They come, they give an assembly on how to save money, what to do with money. You know, because not many people know what to do with money. Yeah,
but the curriculum was never geared to teach people how to build. That's the thing. It was always geared to teach people how to work.
For real.
And be a part of a conveyor belt.
That's why they want us. That's why they wanted the kids to go back to school.
Yeah,
capitalist state.
Back to the state, and then obviously it enables your parents to work and keep the wheel turning. And that's the sad part of the educational system. But I think that society and people out there and people that are possibly listening to this podcast need to, until that's changed, until that the continuous push needs to be done to demand that change. But until that's done, a lot of the responsibility you have to take upon yourself because you cannot know that there's a better way of teaching or educating your kids about certain things and not giving them the tools at home if they're not getting it in the schools.
Exactly.
So you can fight on both fronts. There's nothing stopping you from fighting on both fronts. There's nothing from you from pushing the education system and being like, yo, you guys, this needs to be taught. These are essential skills for human beings. But then also when the kids come home, it should be a part of your responsibility. Do you see what I mean? Like I want it to be a part of my responsibility that I'm teaching my kids about like building for self. I'm teaching my kids basics of what it is to understand taxes, what is a mortgage, like what is a credit score. Do you see what I mean? And to me, that's one of the reasons why I do this podcast, to have these conversations out there. And even if it reaches 5 people, maybe they can speak to another 5 people about something that is prodded their mindset and their way of thinking. And it's a ricochet effect. And it's essential because you can't just rely on the state because the state has its purpose and you also have your purpose as an individual, as a parent, as a teacher, whatever it is that you do, man. So people got to take some accountability into all of this.
Absolutely. I wanted to ask you, how did you find This Food Bangz, man?
It was sick. Like it was sick. So
I'm not gonna give it away, you know.
We're not gonna give it away. I'm not gonna go into too much detail, but do you know what I find sick about it? So it's like sometimes when you start talking about your own culture and your own upbringing and the reasoning behind stuff, it hits you different because obviously not to give it because people have to watch the show, but I didn't make the dish which was expected of me to make.
Yeah, I was quite shocked, to be fair.
Do you see what I mean? So it's different, and that's what brought about the conversation that we had, which brought into different elements of my own life and my own upbringing, and we're able to like delve into that a bit more because you were probably coming in expecting fufu and soup and light soup, bro.
I was expecting big things.
or some jollof rice.
I was thinking, I'm gonna have to drive home after this. Yeah. But no, I loved it, man. I loved your episode. It was really good, and I don't, like I said, we don't want to give too much away, man. But that's why I love it. That's why I love it. You know, I love food. And I've always loved food because, like I think I told you on our podcast, when growing up, I mean, I lived in Agogo, So the rural parts of Ghana, Village.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Known for plantain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Plantain. And so when I was growing up there, I lived with my grandparents at the time, and we were constantly having the same meal. It was fufu and spinach soup every day. So it was like my mum would send rations, but they will store it for like special occasions.
Special occasions, yeah.
Because my mum was in the UK when she sent me to Ghana. I wasn't a bad kid, by the way. When we get sent back to Africa, everyone's like,
no,
what?
secondary school, when someone gets dipped here, it's like, what do you do, man?
What did you do? I was like, bro, I was only 3. I wasn't that much of a hellraiser. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But I was there and, I was eating a lot of the same thing. And obviously, I had malnutrition. And then I got yellow fever. And at the same time, I had malaria on top. So then my sister, at the time, she lived in the city and she was young. And she saw me, in the hospital, and then she was like, "You're gonna come and stay with me in Accra." And in Accra, in the capital city, was where I got the taste of food. Proper Ghanaian food. It wasn't the same fufu and this fufu.
Now you're getting the bougie stuff.
Now I'm getting the bougie stuff. Now I'm getting jollof, and I was getting
salad
meat,
and beans and that.
Beans, the night markets were popping, and I loved it. And I think then obviously fast forward a couple of years later. I think my sister she's a great cook and I love Ghanaian food, but I was getting a bit bored, man. I was just like, I want to try different things. I want to try different things, man. I want to see how, different cuisines taste like and if there's any similarities with Ghanaian cuisines as well. So that's why I love it. It's a journey, man.
It was proper journey, man. And as you mentioned early on as well, it's like, it was interesting how you came here. I made the dish that I made. And then he brought about the conversation that we had. Do you know what I mean? And obviously, and when I'm revisiting that conversation, it's like when you're asking certain questions in regards to like the dish and how it comes about, it makes me think about it as well in a different light. Because I'm thinking, okay, like this meal has a history, like which is beyond me. Do you know what I mean? And this simple food here that we think is just like pieces of stuff put together that we put in our mouth. It has a story of its own, and and that's what the thing about me. Like I love documentaries. So the reason why I podcast is like I've changed the bios of my podcast thing now. I call it documentary and conversation.
Love that
because it's about storytelling. Do you know what I mean? It's about like, and I think everyone's got a story. I think everyone and everything's got a story. And that's how I see the world, and even the way that we were able to turn that food into like an in-depth conversation about culture and my own history and my own upbringing is interesting, because food has so many stories to it. It's like growing up, like I don't know if your parents told you the same stories, like, growing up during Christmas we'll share one Fanta between 5 men. Do you know what I mean? And it's like that's the only time the Fanta came out, Fanta and Coke and that, and they'll pour in a cup and then like all the olders be getting the chicken first, the big pieces, then you wait for the little rations for yourself, and everyone's got the little stories of that. Do you know what I mean? And then if you're at the bottom of the food chain, then you're probably like chewing the bone.
That's it.
So then you got people that end up falling in love with like the bones and the membrane and everything, and you don't get that. That's tied to something which is really deep and historic. It's a story. Do you know what I mean? And obviously in African homes, and I'm sure there's similar stories in Caribbean, Asian, and European homes where food is linked to like deep family stories and cultural and like national stories. And it's interesting, man, because even though something about oxtail, I don't know if this story is correct, because I'm just trying to remember it now. It just hit me. That there's a story that oxtail was like the last piece which was given
the last
to
piece, yes it was.
So
they used to throw it away. The slave masters used to throw it away. And now oxtail, fast forward a couple years later or decades
I paid
later,
£10 at the Jamaican shop.
The most expensive cut of meat you'll find. It's expensive
because it's got turned into something. You know what I mean?
Now it's no, I love oxtail, man. I love oxtail, but no, you're right. So it used to be leftovers that slave.
Because I remember I heard it somewhere, or watched it somewhere where like they told the story behind it. Do you know what I mean?
I love it. I love oxtail, man. I'm all over that. I'm all over
just
that.
salivating right now, man. No, but the thing is, obviously we've been discussing about like doing some work together. So we got some projects coming through as well. Yes. We're gonna discuss that obviously off camera and stuff. But what's next for you? What's next for like This Food Bangz and
man,
your creative journey?
This Food Bangz, just to continue consistency, be consistent, continue I've got lots of episodes recorded where I go to restaurants and I explore cultures and different nationalities. My dream will be, once all this COVID is done, is to travel Africa
Shit.
and sit with families, in different parts of Africa and just talk about food. Because I find, African cuisine fascinates me.
Yeah.
So much history there, I don't know why. But that's what's next. So, yeah, just doing a lot more content. Just a lot
Definitely,
more
man.
content.
I'm enjoying watching it as well, and obviously,
thank you, man.
Yeah,
Thank you.
It'll be sick to like see the journey through Africa because, like yourself, I've got visions for things I want to do in Africa as well.
Yeah.
And that's in relations to like documentary filmmaking and also
Sick.
conversational
Sick
stuff
one.
and that.
Sick.
So, but to me, I'm. It's like whenever I speak to people about it, they go, well, you can just do it. You can just do it. And I'm like, I'm enjoying the learning process because, like, when I started this podcast just under 2 years ago, like, I had a way of communicating that maybe wouldn't have worked for the vision that I had, the end goal. Do you see what I mean? So sometimes as creatives as well, you have to realize to enjoy the early beginnings of
Enjoy the process.
and enjoy the process and go with the ride and that. Because if you don't, you're always gonna be burdening yourself with thought and doubt and what ifs and what nots and stuff like that. So I'm enjoying the process now. Like I'm enjoying every conversation. Like legit, there's not one conversation I had. I'm like, do you know what? Like even if it is. Siri, I'm recording a podcast and that. You know what I mean? I've fallen into the matrix ever since I got. This watch is actually annoying. Yeah, it's mad. Yeah, so I connected the health thing to it.
Yeah.
So and the thing is, I set because it asks you to set up a target.
Right.
So he asked me to set up a target for like the day, and I think I overestimated. So I'm like, I don't know. I'm gonna take whatever 1,000 steps. I'm gonna be running whatever 1,000.
Yeah.
Not forgetting that this dude here is keeping full tabs. So sometimes I'm sitting home. So there's these 3 circles.
Yeah.
They're like your health bars or whatever they call them. Yeah. The activity bar. So as you can see, my activity bar is dead right now. Yeah. And we're what? It's like nearly 6 o'clock. Yeah. I haven't even gone a quarter of my activity bar. So it keeps tabs on this. So if I haven't moved around enough, it's like, you can do it, mate. You can do it. Like, you only got like, I don't know, 20,000 steps to go. I'm thinking, bro, I'm thinking to chill with my sofa today, fam.
You're like, bro, switch off, man.
Switch off.
And
that's the mad thing about, like, obviously we were talking about technology and AI before and how, like, we have to accept that we're connected to it. This is early stages. We think this is high tech, of it telling us like how we breathe in and our heart rate. Soon it's gonna be so internally connected. It can tell when you're about to get a headache, bro. Like
it's gonna be predicting.
It's gonna be predicting everything. Do you know what I mean? To the point where if Siri is able to hear my voice when I'm having a conversation with someone else and not it, it's hearing everything. It's logging everything. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. This is the age we're living in now, man. It's fast forwarded. Constantly, especially now. COVID has fast forwarded.
It's rapid.
The decade by God knows how much. You know what I'm saying? We've basically warped into 10 years.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Into 2030.
Did you watch Elon Musk's demonstration of the Neuralinks?
Nah, I didn't watch it, but everyone's saying that it was definitely a must watch.
Yeah, it's a bit mad. So he tested it. He put it in pigs, and he had 3 different pigs. He had one pig that had it installed, one pig that had it installed and then removed, and then one pig that didn't have it installed or something along them lines. Yeah. But he was just showing how effective it is this in terms of like the process of putting it inside and connecting it to your to the brain circuit. And what in essence it does is, in humans, the idea is that it's supposed to help with a lot of like a lot of the issues that we have, a lot of the medical issues, things like Alzheimer's, and just like a lot of the neurological illnesses that we have. Wow. Yeah, so it's meant to help with like Parkinson's. Because what it does is, as we're growing and certain parts of our body and our mind is shutting off, it's able to then trigger those. Right. So it's able to keep them going. Do you see what I mean? So, but then this how things like that start. Then later on, it's programming, it's memory, it's everything. Do you know what I mean? And him himself as well. He said something weird on the Joe Rogan podcast. He was like, he didn't like the idea of like, not that he didn't like it, but he was talking about the downfalls of verbal communication. Yeah. He's like, why do we have to talk? It's long. Like sometimes I just want to send you a message, because sometimes when people are talking, you're not able to pick up everything that they say.
Next level,
like next level. So he's thinking, what about a system of communication where I can just transport what I'm thinking straight into your head, and then your mind is able to break it down so it doesn't have to be like one unnecessarily complex conversation.
Yeah.
And to us right now, we're thinking all of this is madness, but this is where we're heading. Do you know what I mean? And
It's crazy.
It's inevitable.
It's scary though.
It's
It's
inevitable.
scary. But look, if it fixes, well, if it helps with dementia and Alzheimer's, you know, because my mum's got dementia, so it's like it's a horrible disease, man.
I can imagine.
Horrible disease. It's daylight robbery. That's how, it's like someone's robbing you in front of your own eyes, and there's nothing you can do. So I'm always like, what is out there that can sort of prevent just dementia, even the onset, you know what I'm saying? Because, you know, at first it's a bit comical, you know, it's funny, you know, they say a lot of like random stuff, but then it gets darker, you know, as time goes on, it's like, it's not funny.
How severe is your mum's one, if you don't mind me asking?
I think right now it's quite serious now. Yes, I think 2 years in now. And now, like, at first you could remember us vaguely, but now it's like, it takes a while.
It's horrible, man.
Horrible.
I think like going out and forgetting your family and your loved ones is such a horrible feeling, because they then left with the memory of you not even remembering who they were.
This is it.
So that reverse makes it
This
even
is
like
it.
that 10
This is
times
it.
worse than that. But
This is it.
yeah, I hope something can be done about it.
And that's why I started. That's another reason why I started This Food Bangz, because when you keep umming and ahhing, you start to ask yourself, you know, I look to my mum and like, how much time do I really have? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To ponder over whether I should do something or not.
Yeah.
We don't have time. If you want to do something, just do it.
Just do it.
You know what I'm saying? No matter how crazy the idea sounds, I'm sure when you told your boys, I'm doing Let's Do Humans, they're like, bro, come on, man. Anyway, so KFC, yeah. What's that thing saying that you were linking?
Now, my boy, as soon as an episode comes out, he goes, oh, bro, I just watched this, you know.
Like.
Yeah. Initially, that's the thing.
Can't waste time, bro.
Yeah, Skepta actually said this in an interview once. He was like, when he first started doing the fashion stuff, everyone was like, bro, why are you wearing that, man? That's dead, fam. Like, what's all this about, man? What's all this swag and that? First, they think he was crazy. They were like, oh, he's losing his mind. He's getting too much money. He's starting to do wacky stuff. And then afterwards, eventually, when you start doing it so much and it's innovative in the culture that you're in, people start thinking, Ray, hold on. When you look at this from a different angle,
it's all right.
It's all right. It makes sense in that.
It makes sense.
Do you know what I mean? This little mix-up makes sense, because initially they think you're crazy. Then they start thinking, okay, it's all right. Then all of a sudden you're a genius.
You're a genius.
Do you know what I mean? And if you look at most geniuses or most people that have done anything or been innovators, they're the ones that just felt the fear and done it anyway.
Just did it.
Like I was like, oh, podcast is long now. Now I'm gonna put my face all up on YouTube and it's long and you have to record. I'm a bit nervous. I'm a bit this. I'm a bit that. But then eventually, like, you start realizing the tide started changing, because when I first started doing it, I got like the first 5 views from my family that I forced to watch or listen to it. Then it drops from random strangers being like, oh, I just came across your thing, or someone told me and this is dope. And now I've connected, I made friends, and now I'm connecting with people like yourself. I connected with you first, then for you I connected with Carl and so forth. And I made so many various like connections through it. Do you see what I mean? And sometimes if you come into it with like a silly goal, it's very hard for you to keep going. But if you come into it with like a clean and a proper purpose,
this is it. You just have to make sure you're pure hearted. Because I think with us, I think when we, not us, but people, when they start this YouTube thing or this content creating thing, everyone wants that instant gratification. You know what I'm saying? And it's not about that. If you're going into that with that sort of mindset,
like your first video, you're going viral.
You're going viral. No.
And sometimes people, if you do the numbers here, in a year you get probably 2 or 3 big people that blow from being zero to hero in terms of viral movement. People forget that. And then you got to realize that the rest that actually do blow, they've had a long catalog of work. Do you know what I mean? They've released hundreds, thousands of videos, and then maybe there's one video or there's one the song that they released after paying, I don't know, these platforms thousands to release their products. So that's the whole thing about consistency and just doing it in the first place.
There's
if you've got passion and love for it.
Formula for viral videos. No such thing. There's no such thing. It's about, like you said, consistency and just it's timing. That's all it comes down to. It's speed, power, boom. That's
Definitely.
it. It's timing.
Definitely.
But that's one reason why I did it, Francis. You can't waste time. We live this life, and you almost think that you're bulletproof, and you know we've got all
Yeah.
the time in the world, but we haven't got time. It's one of those things where I said to myself, if I want to do something, I've got to do it now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because this will be my legacy. If I have kids, when I have kids, they will watch it and they'll be like, "Rah, that's my dad on YouTube." You know what I'm saying? And that's what I look to. It's just like making sure that whatever I say that I'm gonna do, I just do it.
You do it. Yeah.
I just do it now.
Eli, man, that's a sick note to end on, man.
No worries, man.
That's a sick note, man. And
let's do humans. Mama made it.
yeah, I mean, the message of just doing it is one of the most powerful messages out there, man, because a lot of people are like endowed with fear. Like fear is like our worst hindrance. Like, and sometimes what we fear is nothing but fear in itself. It's like, what are you scared of? What, ridicule from people that are not really like, I mean, most of the people that are ridiculing you, or most of the people that you're scared of, none of them are actually taking care of you. Like none of them. Nah. Like I'm the one paying my own bills. So if I'm scared of anyone, I should be scared of myself. You see what I mean? I'm paying my mortgage. It's not like no one that's watching this right now or listening to this is paying my mortgage.
No way.
You see what I mean? No one is putting food on my table or clothes on my back.
Right.
So at the end of the day, like, why am I fearing any of them?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, if I'm putting out something good, something productive and on a continuous basis, they're the ones that are possibly going to be the beneficiaries of that. So definitely, man, I'm a big advocate of feeling the fear and doing it anyway,
Francis,
man. Yeah, Eli, we're gonna catch up again, man. It's been an absolute pleasure, man.
Let's do humans. Bang bang.
My guy.
Love that.
Yeah, that was sick, man.
Thank you very much, man.